People with disabilities, what's one thing you wish everybody knew not to say? Serious. You're too young for that. Okay. Thanks. But I've still got it and it still sucks. I hate this one. Makes me feel really bad about myself when I get this one. I had an appendectomy 10 years ago. 2 years ago, I started having similar pains and tenderness in the lower right quadrant of my abdomen. I went to a gastroenterologist last year who did a colonoscopy. She found a precancerous polyp in my cecum, same general area as the appendix. The nurses I've encountered since have all told me that I'm too young to have had a colonoscopy, let alone two. Don't let your age determine when you get tests for what could be very serious medical issues. Guess I've got an invisible disability, so I'll pitch in. When I can't do something or if I'm having a day where something's just not possible, I wish people wouldn't say, well, you don't look sick, or I've seen you do it before. Some days I can do things and some days I can't. Such is the nature of an inflammatory disease. Me too. MS is sneaky. One day I look fine, the next I can't walk, but I don't look sick. Apostrophe. It's like I'm Jekyll and Hyde to my co-workers, pre-pandemic, and my less understanding friends. Nope. Same person. You're so inspiring for just existing. It's not flattering. It's patronizing, and I'd rather be complimented on my actual accomplishments as opposed to being complimented for living my life and not killing myself. If you haven't already, please watch Stella Young's TED Talk on inspiration porn. Such a warrior. I'm tired of hearing that about my daughter. I never know what to say. Well, yeah. She doesn't have a choice. Shrug. Stop giving your home remedies to chronic conditions. You're not a doctor. And even if you are, you aren't my doctor. Not sure if it's a disability, but I have as, which basically gives you arthritis in your hips, spine. In my case, in my 20s. Everyone tells me I should just eat turmeric, go vegan, or drink fish oil. Trust me, if there was any scientific backing, I'd have done those before the blood work, pills, and self-injections. I know someone with that, and then they go on to invalidate my disability because I'm not an identical copy of that one person they know. My teacher that had fibromyalgia just like me and said I was just faking it and that it didn't hurt that bad because she wasn't feeling that much pain. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't notice we shared the same F-king body. Stranger. Are you okay? Double quote. Me. Yes. Are you? Double quote. Stranger. Did you hurt your legs? Double quote. Me. No. I have a very rare muscle disease. Double quote. My husband. There's nothing wrong with her. She just drinks too much. As he pushes me away in my wheelchair. Type 1 diabetes. Don't tell me how you could never give yourself shots all the time. It's not a choice. It's life or death. Also, don't give me some made up cure you saw on Facebook because it's fake and doesn't work. Lastly, I don't care about your grandma or great uncle who had type 2 diabetes. It means nothing. I do not care. And I also don't want to hear how they lost their foot because it sucks being reminded of the potential consequences of this disease. More applicable to other disabilities besides T1D, I'd assume, is O. At least it's not, usually cancer. It still sucks regardless, and I want to punch everyone who says that. It's all part of God's plan. I'm not disabled or anything, but I f***ing hate this one. When my friend's dad died, people came up to him to console and they'd say this. Edit. No way in FCK the Christian God would plan this shit out. It's just nature working. No one f***ing planned shit. You don't look autistic. Well, it's a neurological condition. And I've spent years in therapy developing skills so that I can pass as neurotypical. Both to make friends, but also avoid people that would hurt me. And no, I don't want a cure. I'm happy with my neurology. And I like the unique way in which I perceive the world. Finally, please get vaccinated. It saves lives and has nothing to do with ASD. Have you tried Crackpot IDOX? Y. Or Z. My friend has your condition and IDOX cured them. Double quote. For fuck's sake. It didn't cure them. This is a lifelong disability. Don't tell me to drink f***ing raw goat's milk to cure ulcerative colitis. You dumb schmuck. Especially when it comes to mental illness. Turns out a lot of people don't understand that you can't just cure it like take a pill and boom it's gone. I had to explain for a long time about it to my friend and she was so condescending about it the whole time. CBD oil cures PTSD my ass. Any sentence that starts with but why don't you just? I can't just do things normally. I can't just try this one new health fad you're trying to push on me. Most likely I'm incapable of doing it. I've already tried it. All the advice is bullshit. I'm assuming this is about physical disabilities and mine are only minor. I have mental disabilities too if that counts. But even though the physical stuff is relatively small, I still get a ton of unwanted advice and why don't you just try yoga, meditation, changing your whole diet, jogging every day, weed, sucking it up, etc. Oh. Also, people who assume you're refusing any help whatsoever and playing the victim when rejecting unwanted and unhelpful advice. I didn't know you were in the military. Double quote. I wasn't. There are a variety of reasons someone can have PTSD. It isn't that all women got it from being raped and all men got it from war. And no. By the way, I am not gonna recount some of the worst parts of my life so you can decide whether or not it was bad enough to count. Even if it doesn't throw me into a flashback most times. It's really f***ing rude. I'm not. But have been with my wife for 20 years and watching her. Having to defend her against friends. Family members. Employers. You name who say she doesn't look disabled. Yeah. You get pretty good at putting on a face for people so they'll stop asking. And then come home and shatter into a million pieces for your spouse. Honestly, the worst part for me is her trying to run me off so I can go live happily with someone without her issues. But I'll gladly give up this life if I have a chance of a better one with her in a future life. Smile whenever you look down or depressed. I'm going to have off days. Whenever people tell me I need to smile and act more upbeat, all I hear inside is I'm so sad today I can't even hide it. Double quote. It doesn't cheer up me. It does the complete opposite. I was just trying to grind through my day and you felt the need to stop me and tell me how sad I look? I epileptic and severe enough to not be able to work, drive, hold down a job for long. And sometimes people can tell because my behavior and speech can be a bit odd. If asked directly, I'll tell them. Otherwise I don't. What pisses me off is when they start whipping out cures or treatments they read on the internet because somebody or aunt has it. Depending on my mood, I either patronize the hell out of them or just walk away rolling my eyes. I hate internet doctors. Quadriplegic. Maybe don't treat me like I'm some sort of tragic figure because I happen to break my neck. One of my personal favorites is I could never live like that. My usual response is yeah, it's difficult but I can't ask my PA to tie the noose. And you know, hard to hold a knife with paralyzed fingers. Heavy sarcasm. It works to make people uncomfortable and tbh. Maybe they'll learn not to say that to the next person. I also like telling people I have a hangman's fracture. Part of my injury is at C2, so if I was gonna die it would have been then and it just didn't take. Didn't try hang myself. But whatever. In reality, yes, you could live like this. Do you wanna know how I know? Because I do. And all the other quads I know do. Human mind is great at adapting. So that can get fucked. To people with invisible disabilities. People on the spectrum. People with mental health issues. Oh. But you don't look sick, autistic, depressed. What in the ever-loving FCK is that even supposed to mean? As someone on the autism spectrum, I find it to be incredibly insulting when anti-vaxxers say that the reason why they won't vaccinate is because vaccines cause autism. Not only is that idea proven wrong, but it's basically saying you would rather let your child die horribly from a preventable disease than have them be like me. I am the humble owner of several chronic disabilities, all of which are invisible. No one can see the different iterations of pain and coping and discomfort I live with on an hourly daily basis. I just want to say that it is so much easier to have a broken arm. There is a visible cost and everybody gets it. Agree so strongly with this. It also means that we tend to have a skewed pain scale that no one else could possibly understand unless they have the same condition. Anything along the lines of "you're not different" automatically makes me feel separated from the rest of the group. Also, I appreciate people wanting to give me privacy out of respect. But I really don't mind answering your questions. That's more of a personal thing for me. It is fairly interesting. Because saying it implies it is false, since there'd be no reason to say it if it were true. It is with good intentions, though. And most people who say it will try their hardest to make it true. I stutter, and the amount of times I have heard a "you don't know your own name" or "you forgot what grade you're in." It really makes me feel great about myself, and if you say those things, you are the nicest person ever. The worst is when they start mocking you for it. I just stop talking when they do that. And people wonder why I'm so quiet. She hurts. Spent many years in speech therapy, but it still slips out occasionally. Can't help it sometimes. My eyesight is terrible and I have noticeably thick glasses. I wish people would stop asking me, "Can I try them on?" Double quote. No. Would you ask someone to try out their wheelchair? And the sad part is, some people might. Knew a guy who was great with computers but fell through a fish tank at the age of 17. Severing just about every tendon in his left arm. He would get upset about people saying, "You're so good with computers. You should go into coding or IT work instead of being on disability." Thing is, typing with his left hand was pretty much impossible after about 10 minutes. Even though somebody has a skill set and looks capable of doing a task doesn't mean they're able to do it. I think about him often and feel bad. Last we talked, he was having issues with his janitorial job scheduling him too many hours. Even though he was on disability, he wanted to work, but if he worked too many hours he'd be cut off from government benefits. He couldn't work for more than 20 hours a week at $8/HR, or else his disability would get cut based on income, to the point that he'd still be making less than if he worked 60+ hours a week. Ridiculous system in the US. I'm not going to pretend like this isn't super common to the point of society saying it isn't a disability. But I have ADHD. I hate when people tell me, "Oh, it's in your head. You're just lazy." No, I'm not. I write music. Have a job that I'm skilled in. I'm a DM. My problem is that I just saw a motivational poster of a dog skydiving and my brain is now wondering if dogs would fall faster or slower than a human due to wind resistance, and I can't stop because I feel like I'm so close to the answer. And I know I have better things to do. But this mystery interests me and I can't stop thinking about it. Otherwise I'll start wondering if the milk in the fridge is going bad or who has the best batting average in history. And I just can't snap my head back on long enough to finish this chapter in my book. My wife has Crohn's disease and she's had more than a few people comment that they wish they could take it from her for like a month or two so they could lose some weight. You know what? If you say "shti" like this, FCK the FCK off. She's gone through 20 years of pain and suffering with this "shti" and come close to dying. And saying "shti" like that is heartless and rude as fuck. Are you sure you have it? Double quote. Well, considering I've seen about 3 people for each thing wrong with me, I'm pretty sure I have what I've been diagnosed with. Bipolar disorder here. Please stop using "she's bipolar" as a joke for your emotional BF or GF. It's insulting and belittling in my opinion. Also, rarely do people really understand that I cannot control it without meds, but that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to feel feelings. If I'm upset, it's generally not the bipolar. You are just being a dick. This "thank you, I can't believe it's this far down." For the love of all things, people stop diagnosing mental illnesses differences because you think a random instance of behavior is a defining factor. Medicine stigma has to stop too. I'm tired of arguing with people over it. I specifically dislike when I am first explaining to someone about my disability due to it impacting something when they respond with "I'm sorry." I am not looking for sympathy when it has to be brought up when referring to something like my inability to use voice chat in games or to do normal things that other people can do. And okay, that's cool is legitimately all that's needed. There's no reason whatsoever to say "I'm sorry" in that kind of conversation, and it just makes me feel like I am being the bummer by bringing it up to explain my limitations to someone who may not understand it. If I had to deal with that, I would just kill myself in response to some minor dietary restrictions I have related to a much more significant genetic disease. Gee. Thanks, former coworker. Guess I should just give up on life now because I can't have olives or sesame seeds or a few other things you like. Good thing you don't deal with my chronic pain or heart issues or anything else that actually impacts my quality of life. God will heal you. What if he doesn't? It's been 26 years. Maybe he won't. Maybe that's not why I believe. And maybe I don't need God to perform like a trained show dog to have faith. Maybe you're the one that needs healing. All your limbs are in perfect order and yet you want God to do tricks on other people for you to believe. You don't look disabled? Thanks for making me feel even more worthless because I don't live up to the standards that make a functional person or the standards that make a broken person. Obviously I'm just a waste and a burden pretending to be disabled for all the fun perks. Hearing people talk about their OCD is f***ing annoying. I had to do a lot of work to stop certain things from controlling my life. Just stop was the one that always got me. Personally, people talking about their OCD makes my blood boil. But I've learned to accept that the general public is largely misinformed about the illness. But I absolutely cannot tolerate being told to just stop or some variation of it like, well, just don't worry about X intrusive thought, thanks. You've truly enlightened me. Huzzah. I explained to my employer that I was having a sensory overload. I asked for a different headset to help reduce noise overstimulation, which is probably my biggest trigger. She said though she didn't fully understand it. She compared it to anxiety. Because it's pretty much the same thing. Double quote. Not pretty much the same thing. Which is why ASD is classified separately from anxiety. Please don't ask a stranger on the street about their disability. I get some people are okay sharing. But I adapt pretty well and personally don't like to be reminded how I look to people. What's wrong with your hand? Why are you limping? Double quote. But you look so normal. Thanks. But I still have night terrors and PTSD and depression. Telling me to look at the good things in my life only helps so much. 2. Like yeah. It's great. But now I feel guilty for feeling bad, so thanks. Also I noticed when I had cancer, a lot of people would tell me they lost their dear loved ones. Honestly, cancer survivors do get survival guilt from that shit. I'm sorry you lost someone and I'm still here. It doesn't make them less of a fighter or me any better. It's just a game of chance and somehow we just got lucky. When I tell you I'm on disability and can't work, don't respond by trying to come up with suggestions of jobs you think I could do. For one thing, it's completely useless advice because I promise you I can't do any of these jobs. When I say I can't work, that's what I actually mean. And it's actually insulting to me because you're basically suggesting that I actually can work, which means you're pretty much accusing me of scamming the system. And you're also making me feel bad about the fact that I can't work. Like no one can just accept that I'm always going to be on disability and I'm not ever going to have a job. No one acts like that's an acceptable situation. Why can't that be an acceptable situation that doesn't need to be fixed? When people try to be optimistic, for me, anything along the lines of "it could be worse." You function well though, you just have to come to terms with it. Just learn to embrace it. I'm not at a place where I've accepted my disability. Props to the people that have, but personally I hate mine and I'd fix it in a heartbeat if I could. I understand people mean well and to some extent they're right, but it's frustrating nonetheless. I have ADHD and people ask me all the time, even my husband does it. Why is it easy for you to remember X, but you never remember Y? I think the biggest misconception about ADHD is that it isn't a total inability to pay attention. It's more like an inability to control what you're paying attention to. And chances are, I did remember why. I just remembered it at the most inconvenient possible time. And for the record, I'm just as frustrated as you are that I forgot I was supposed to do a thing 10 times in a row. I'd die if I had to live like that. Cool. Thanks. I've never known how to respond to that. My disability is invisible, celiac, and the second people find out that I can't eat gluten they act as if I have no quality of life. Do they think they are complimenting me for being strong? Because I fail to understand the point and it feels so demeaning. This was particularly offensive during one staff meeting icebreaker. We did 2 truths and a lie. Our school counselor said I can't eat gluten for one of her statements. When she revealed it was her lie, she added the commentary I'd kill myself if I couldn't eat gluten. The couple of co-workers who made the connection immediately looked at my face and my stomach dropped. I'm amazed at the things that come out of some people's mouths.